everyone, Jaymes Mansfield here bringing you yet another video. Oh my god, today is yet another episode of Iconic Brunettes. Yes! Now, today we are doing the legendary, wonderful Wonder Woman herself, Lynda Carter. Yes, her iconic bouffant fall with the waterfall curls like in Wonder Woman in 1976, okay? Everything, all right? Now, we're gonna get into it, okay? Because Miss Lynda Carter is a fascinating individual. Now, first things first, I have to curl up this wig. And if you're wondering if my voice sounds a little off, it's because, well, I've been recovering from being sick for the past like 3 days now. You already know how the protocol goes here. Like if I'm sick, I'm just gonna work through it. So here's how it goes. You know, I might sound like Jennifer Tilly after a certain point. Just get into it. Maybe we'll do an Iconic Brunettes with her, or blonde. She's had many colors. So first things first, we are going to curl this wig. Now I have here 1.5 inch rollers, I think these are. I could be wrong. They're purple rollers. Just look up the purple rollers from Diane and you'll find them. I use these whenever I do 70s styles because the curls are generally laid the same way as like old school Hollywood hair, only they have a lot bigger curlers because they're all about movement in the 70s. Whereas like in the 1960s, nothing moved. In the 70s, everything had to move. But some of that hair was still carrying over into that decade. But I digress. Now, Miss Lynda Carter is Arizona's own. Yes, Lynda Carter. She had an interesting upbringing. Now, she is Mexican-American, proudly Mexican-American. What was interesting for her is music was really the first discovery for her as far as like arts go. She became a very prolific singer at the age of 17, which even she remarks like her mom was really out of this world for letting her like go on tours and stuff. Like she even had like worked a little miniature residency in Las Vegas with her band. Like she was a very successful artist. As the theme would go with Lynda Carter's career, she would soon grow tired of it and wanted to like have a little bit, you know, peace of mind again, to, you know, feel a little bit of normalcy, which is kind of a recurring theme with Lynda Carter. She went back to school and everything and she graduated. And basically, every bit of money she made while touring, she sent back to her father, who basically held off on it and gave her a nice little bit of seed money so she could eventually move to California. So Lynda Carter returns home to Arizona after a wonderful little career as a touring singer with a band. And she decides her next avenue is going to be pageants. She wanted to become Miss Arizona, and she took to it, all right? Like, when you think of pageant queens, you don't necessarily think of Lynda Carter. But as all of her like pageant colleagues would say, like when she got in that pageant, they knew she was gonna win because her talent's like out of this world. She was a great singer. And like she just had a personality about her that was infectious and a confidence about her that was like kind of bizarre for a girl her age. One in particular, when it was Miss Arizona, I believe Bob Hope, she said, was the one that was the guest judge, was the guest host on it. And he basically was giving instructions to the girls and mentioned to them, like, by the way, the winner is gonna step over here to the side. And she's like, I'm sorry, what was that? I didn't hear that. Where do I go when I win? And this raised a few eyebrows, but it was this confidence that like really, really just like stuck out with people. And she did win the pageant. But as her parents and her family would say, she kind of got a little bit in her head and got very haughty when she had like returned. And she eventually would go on to do Miss USA, which she would not win. She did not win Miss USA. So she returned a loser, but she mentioned that this was like the kick in the teeth she needed to basically push her into the next course of her career. And that course was going to be acting. She wanted to be an actress. She would move to Los Angeles, and sadly, it wasn't really hitting for her. Like she was burning through her savings, trying to pay for her lifestyle and trying to make something happen with her career. Like everything she would audition for, she wasn't really landing. Like she wasn't booking anything. And it was by chance that around this time, they were casting for a major television series that was gonna be like a cultural reset as far as superheroes go. Now, Wonder Woman is a creation from William Moulton Marston, a prolific psychiatrist who is one of the like founding like inventors of the lie detector. Like he put a lot of effort into that and the research of it. So like he was very celebrated. He also had a very interesting love life, which is worth a video in itself. Like definitely look up William Moulton Marston. It's fascinating the life he lead. He created Wonder Woman, this comic book character that took off in the 1920s. She was the very first, 1930s, in the 1930s. She was, as far as it goes, the very first female superhero. She's like a female Superman. And it was a fascinating character because everything that he was inspired by were basically woman inspired. And some of the certain things about her really, really like catch on and really, gel with a lot of its female readers. Like for instance, she had tons of accessories. She was fabulous. She had a great costume. She had lots of girlfriends. She wasn't a superhero that would like try and like solve everything with her fists. She was very diplomatic and she was about love. Like ultimately, if she had to get violent, it's because she had a bigger goal in mind of what she wanted to achieve. And if she could, she would try and talk her way out of it first, which was very different for like a Superman or a Batman where you're just used to like, ballroom brawls. Also, some of the interesting things about Wonder Woman, in the first iterations, Wonder Woman would lose all her power if she had her bracelets bound together, which was basically a statement of if you basically disempower a woman, they lose all their powers, which is a really like cool symbolic metaphor to make with a superhero. And of course, from there, the 1960s came around, Wonder Woman had her powers taken away. Like there is a lot of things happening with that character where she's kind of in the dumps and needing a revamp. So they were shopping around the idea of a Wonder Woman television show. And this was from the same makers of like the Batman in the 1960s television show. So like very, very, very high camp value. Now they had no luck trying to make something happen. Like they've been trying to make this thing happen for a while now. They had a made-for-TV movie and a pilot and everything that just did not take off because, well, first off, the girl that was playing Wonder Woman looked nothing like her. And the elements of the show were really bizarre when like the bare bones are there. So they're deciding they're gonna be more true to the comic book origins. And they were being very selective about what actress should play Wonder Woman. Like the gamut of actresses auditioned for this. Jacqueline Smith, Farrah Fawcett, a lot of Charlie's Angels it turned out, and even Lynda Carter. But they described when Lynda Carter came in, it was like something from above was sent to them. Like they knew this one was destined to play Wonder Woman. Like she had the figure, she had the look, she had this like softness and kindness about her acting when she like did her audition that they really, really took to. And when you look at Lynda Carter and you watch back old episodes of Wonder Woman, especially the first season, it is really magical what she's doing. And the fact that she took on such a huge character and managed to make her like believable and interesting. And it is very, very campy, but Lynda Carter is so endearing as Wonder Woman. Believe it or not, this is like the first thing Lynda Carter booked. Like when she became an actress, she was, like I said, not booking a whole lot of anything. And she mentioned she had like $25 left in her bank account and she was about to like basically scrap it all and move back to Arizona. So when she got the call for Wonder Woman, it was like a huge blessing. And this took her from obscurity to basically a superstar overnight. Like she was everywhere and people were obsessed with her. From here, she would meet a manager that she would eventually marry who took her for a ride. As far as everything goes, they mentioned how he basically worked his way into her life and wormed his way in where he was trying to make himself famous along with her. Like she was doing like a TV guide. He'd have to be on the cover with her. He's just her manager. Like he wasn't an actor or anything. Like it's really strange to like think like they were that much like they wanted a piece of her where they just like, okay, that's fine. We want her, so why not? However, like it wasn't all bad. Like he got her television specials and variety specials and got her back into music. And she was having a little recording career happening for herself. Like there were some good moves, also some very peculiar moves that were happening as well. And come the 1980s, Wonder Woman's popularity was starting to wind down. They were approaching the 4th season and Lynda Carter was starting to have enough of it. Like it got canceled and she was kind of thrilled with it because she kind of felt like it had run its course. And there wasn't really much else she could do with this character. And she was actually really, really excited to branch out to whole new opportunities. She had left her husband and basically was creating a whole new avenue for herself where she was in charge of what was gonna happen next. She'd be cast in a series that was very short-lived. And when I mention this, like I could describe it to you and it's like, how was this not a success? And then I watched the pilot, but still, I digress. It was called Partners in Crime. It was Lynda Carter paired with her very good friend, Lonnie Anderson, who is the big, busty blonde in the 1980s from WKRP in Cincinnati. So it was basically one sex symbol paired with another sex symbol, like being female buddy cops.
Like, how did this not succeed?
I eventually landed my hands on a copy of the pilot, and I can understand why it didn't succeed. It wasn't very well written. Like, it needed a high amount of rewrites. Like, just the idea of this show actually happening is like, oh, I wish it had happened. I'm going to talk more about Lynda Carter's career in the 80s because it is really interesting, the career moves she made. But I had to curl the rest of this and get it steamed, and I'll be right back. Welcome back. All right, the hair is all curled and she is looking lovely. My gosh. I love me a good old curl pattern. Yes. Now, her hair is like a mixture of, you know, classic, but also that 1970s flair. And it's so classic for Wonder Woman. Like, they really did not skimp out on details with this. So, start teasing it up because she's got like a nice little bouffant going. Like, it's got volume, but it also has like a bounciness to it, which is like a balance they really found in the 1970s with hairstyles. Like, especially the way you curled it and the way you styled it could give you the certain movement that you want, because it was, you know, the era of dance music. So everyone was going to discos. Lynda Carter, after Wonder Woman had ended, was basically trying to find her next route. And she would find it in television films, like television movies. She was one of the first to really take to like the Lifetime movie of the week kind of market. Like Raquel Welch, we talked about before, had kind of pioneered that too. Lynda Carter really dove into this. And the reason she started dabbling into this is because she had recently remarried a very influential lawyer in New York City. And she was kind of getting burned out with Hollywood. Like I said, this is a recurring theme with Lynda Carter. When she starts to get tired of something, she's tired of it. So she had taken on a couple of television shows and she really just wasn't liking being away. She would end up getting pregnant. And this would be another thing that just put a huge stop to her career, because it wasn't that she couldn't get roles or anything, or that she couldn't get work or work balance. She just didn't like being away from her family. So she took a huge extended break from Hollywood to raise her kids. And basically, like, she was a very high-powered lawyer's wife. She was dabbling into the television movie market and really like taking on roles that were like really out there for her. One in particular I remember, which was like kind of really scandalous, and I rediscovered this on YouTube, was called I Posed for Playboy, where she played a woman, like a housewife, that posed for Playboy. That's like a Lifetime movie kind of market. Like, she did a lot of movies like that. There's one she did where she was like dating a younger man, and she was a woman in her 40s. And what I really like about her is she made a point when she talks about it, like when it came to Hollywood roles, she always tried to play people that were within her own age range. Like, she never wanted to like appear younger or try and fight her age. Like, she always wanted to just grow old the way she was. And the way she selected roles really reflected that. And what's really remarkable is that she managed to like carve out a career for herself to where she was married very comfortably, and she could honestly just take on whatever work she wanted when she felt like it. Like, she had her second child and had booked another television series and learned while making it that she really just didn't enjoy being away from her family. Like, she decided she was going to choose her family, and she walked away from Hollywood for a long time, which is like a very rare occurrence on the series. When we talk about these iconic women, a lot of the time they don't really have that option. Lynda Carter was very fortunate to where when she decided she wanted a break, she was able to take one, and she just did. And her legacy wasn't really affected by it. People still thought of her as like this gorgeous gal, and she was still doing makeup campaigns and all this stuff. And not to mention, like, when she wasn't in Hollywood working, she threw herself into charity work. Like, that's also another huge impactful thing about Lynda Carter is she has so many causes that she took on and attached her name to, you know, ranging from breast cancer awareness and all sorts of stuff. Now, come modern day, Lynda Carter is one of my favorite personalities, especially on like social media. She goes off on Twitter. Like, she would pop off. And what I like most about her is like, she was completely in support of another Wonder Woman. When you think of like the stories of actresses in Hollywood, it's always that of like, I don't want to like, you know, push ahead the next girl because they're replacing me. She never thought of it that way. Like, she had her run with it, and she passed the torch to Gal Gadot, and that was that. She knew she couldn't be Wonder Woman forever, and was very like helpful and nurtured her along and gave her a lot of advice when she was researching the role and how to play her, because again, it was perfect casting. Like, she was
Hands down, the best Wonder Woman. Whew. All right, now I'm gonna tease the rest of this and I'll be right back. Welcome back. Alrighty, now I started doing one side off camera. She's already teased out. Now this hairstyle may seem a little intimidating because it's a lot of cutting, but as soon as you get the hang of it, it's fine. Also, speaking of hair, can we take a moment to admire my hairstyle today? Like, I look like Fran Drescher. Like in Beautician and the Beast, like the cover. I love it, I love it, I love it. Oh, Mr. Sheffy. I can't even do the voice right now. I'm starting to lose it already. Oh, Mr. Sheffy. No, it's not happening. I'm too sick for it. It's not gonna come out. Maybe next time. Oh, I should do a Fran Drescher video. And I love and respect our SAG president, Miss Fran Drescher. But I digress. We are sitting here brushing out the Lynda Carter hairstyle. Now it's basically waterfalls, like waterfall curls. That's how it looked. And like, I was just playing around with it. I cut layers into it and the layering is really easy. So it's a little longer here on this side so I can cut it on camera for you. I literally just do it like this, like flicking the scissors a little bit and careful not to cut yourself. Especially for the fringe, I go a little shorter and then just go a little longer going down, you know, like a waterfall. It's almost a little Farrah Fawcett, but like the dark version of it. Then I just cut the length away because Lynda Carter did not have long hair in this iteration of Wonder Woman. Some of the later ones, her hair was a little longer, like season 3 and 4. But for the 1970s pilot movie, my favorite, where they're in the 1930s during war times, she had this hair. It was more timeless. It really did look like Wonder Woman's. Actually, better than the actual Wonder Woman's. When you look at like the comic book it was based on, like she had a very severe, like hard Joan Crawford mullet. Like the original, the OG Wonder Woman, like from the first like pictures of her, was a little rough around the edges. She was a tough looking lady. Yeah, now Lynda Carter has basically, she lives the rest of her life now as a legend. Like she is an icon. She's Wonder Woman, girl. Like, what else do you need to do after that? That's like a lot of icons kind of fall to the wayside, or we have new iterations of them made that people seem to come to first, like especially like Charlie's Angels and other icons from that era. A lot of people tend to think of, you know, their reboots. Wonder Woman, you will always go back to Lynda Carter. All right, now I am doing pretty good with this. I think I just gotta clean it up a little bit, but we kind of have the hairstyle we want, like it's there. It just needs to get cleaned up and smoothed. But like I said, it's the waterfall front with the big bouffant in the back. Perfect to put a tiara right there. So I'm gonna clean her up and get myself all gussied up, and I'll be right back with the final results.
Welcome back. This is the final result. Oh my God, I love it. Check it.
Now, I couldn't find like an actual Wonder Woman tiara because like I just decided today I was going to do this. But I like, you know, I improvised and I think it looks pretty good, you know. It's Blunder Woman. Yes, I love it. And I adore Lynda Carter, especially Lynda Carter as Wonder Woman. All right. Iconic. All right. We're talking iconics here. You can't argue with it. All right. She is Wonder Woman. Now, this is so much fun. It's very much, again, like another hairstyle my mom would have wore. But I'm not mad at it. It's a nice little, you know, 1970s bouffant. The 1970s remembers the 1940s is what it's supposed to be. Like, this is how apparently Amazons did their hair back then. Now, I hope you all enjoyed this. If there's an iconic brunette you want to see, be sure and list them down below. I'm seeing some great suggestions, and I'm always considering them. Like, I saw a couple of you recommending Lynda Carter, and poof, here she is. Now, thank you all so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And until next time, bye.
Now hit the outro. Click here and watch me give my next drag daughter the Mansfield makeover. Or watch my last episode of Iconic Brunettes, Raquel Welch. Come on, click it. You know you want to. If you don't click it, I'll tangle you up in the lasso of truth. So click it.